when we go to the Torah, and our remarks are not meant to disrespect Christians and Jews, because that's not the style of a Muslim. A Muslim does not pick up boxing gloves when he enters into dialogue with Christians and Jews. If a Muslim picks up boxing gloves, see what Allah will do with him. I don't need to say anything more. That's enough. So when we enter into dialogue with Christians and Jews, we do it in the most respectful way, the most dignified way. And we point out that in the Torah, up to this day, the Torah says that if an Israelite is dealing with another Israelite, he must not lend him money on interest. No, it's haram, it's prohibited. But if he's dealing with those who are not Israelites, you are allowed to lend them money on interest. That looks like double standards. That this is a man with whom I can relate, and the moral law is applicable to him. But these others are less, they are inferior. They don't belong into the same category with us. So we are allowed to rip them off. These words are not spoken in any derogatory way, but these words are spoken with truth. So here you are. Allah says they changed the word of Allah, and there is the evidence. In consequence of this, when the Qur'an came down, Allah made a declaration never made before in history, the one God. He says, we are the ones who are sending it down, and we are the ones who are going to protect this book. Not even NATO can change this book. Don't try. You won't succeed. Allah is protecting this book, as a consequence of which anyone who says that there's absolute authenticity anywhere else but in the Qur'an is whistling in the wind. Someone should tell him, wake up, you're sleeping. Someone should remind him that absolute authenticity is located only in the Qur'an. There you are. Having established that, if you still insist that there's absolute authenticity in the Hadith, we part company from you because we don't have any means anymore of dialogue with you. Yeah. It's useless for us to talk with you anymore, because this is the foundation stone on which our house of knowledge is built. Other than this, there's nothing to talk about. So you go your way, and we go our way. That absolute authenticity is located only in the Qur'an. Good. Well then, what do we do with hadith? Even when they are Sahih hadith. If this is absolutely authentic, then the Qur'an must sit in judgment over the hadith. The Qur'an must be used to assess the hadith. So although all of this work has already been done, and may Allah bless them for the work they have done, there is still more work to be done. And this is that we must use the Qur'an to assess the hadith. This kind of thinking has come from my teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Ansari. This man was an authentic scholar. Oh yes. This is an authentic scholar. And he has declared that the Qur'an must be used to judge the hadith. The Qur'an must sit in judgment over the hadith. I have written a book entitled, it should be at the back, Methodology for Study of the Qur'an. And it has been probably a whole year now since it's been written. I wish someone had written it when I was a student. It would have been very helpful for me if I could have had that book when I was a student. But what my teacher taught me, and when he writes with a very complex style. He's a philosopher. But I write in a simple style. So I put his thoughts into that book in a simple style. If a hadith is in harmony with the Qur'an, we immediately accept it. If a hadith is in conflict with the Qur'an, we put it aside. If a hadith is neither in conflict nor in harmony, like nearly all of the hadiths that the Shia use, then we say, this is not priority importance. No. This is not a matter of priority importance. This can be put aside for a while, and we'll deal with it afterwards. Number two, you do not use a hadith which is neither in harmony nor in conflict to divide yourself from your brothers. No, that's not sensible at all. You do not construct the house of knowledge on ahadith which have this lower status. So you direct your primary attention to those ahadith which are in harmony with the Qur'an. Every time that Allah speaks in the Qur'an about marriage, He always uses the term nisa. Nisa. Nisa is women, not child. Marry women. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. Okay? Woman. Allah speaks in the Qur'an and He says, Nisa'ukum harthul lakum. That your relationship with your woman, Nisa, is like a farmer with his field. I know this is going to be very difficult for the British government to swallow. But I don't care, 2 peanuts. Yes. Because the truth which has come from Allah must be proclaimed regardless of the price we have to pay. Okay? And those who are now promoting the sinful agenda of homosexuality and who now are laden with sin, and the jinn who are supporting them, the shayateen, are laden with sin. Allah says in Surah Al-Rahman, and I love it, oh yes, I love it, because we have suffered for 500 years. They have oppressed us for 500 years. And Allah says, He says, سَنَفْرُغُ لَكُمْ أَيُّهَا الثَّقَلَانِ. He says, I'm going to deal with you. Both of you who are laden with sin, I'm going to deal with you. I love it. And of course, at the top of the list, the ones to be destroyed first of all are the ones who are engaged in promoting homosexuality and lesbianism. So Allah says, your women are your fields, not your men. No. Your women are your fields that you plow. Not men, women. It says, فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ. That the marital relationship in which you build a family is similar, is analogous to a farmer and its field. Okay? The farmer plows the field, the farmer plants the seed, and then the farmer takes care of the nursery plant. Huh? Did you hear that? He takes care of the nursery plant. He puts the nursery plants away from the strong wind, protecting the nursery plant. So you're going to send your children to a school where they can be taught that a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate? Is that a farmer? Is that what a farmer does? Now then, you'll only plant your seed in a soil where the seed can fertilize. And a woman does not produce an egg until she reaches the age of puberty. So nothing will fertilize. Do I need to go further? That it has, you have to have a PhD in horrendous stupidity. Yes, a horrendously stupid person to believe that you can marry a child. Not only that, you have to be a beast, an absolute beast, to believe you can marry a child, because once you marry her, you have the right to take her home. She's your wife, and close the door. And what you do with her inside your house is not in anybody's business. We can't intervene. No, we can't. So if you permit the marriage of a child, you have to answer to judgment on another judgment day for that child. Because that child is not a field. That child is not producing an egg. If you plant anything, it cannot grow. You just need a little bit of common sense to understand the Qur'an. And then the Qur'an will tell you, if there is a hadith which says that someone married a child 6 years of age, this is in conflict with the Qur'an, manifest conflict with the Qur'an. And I've only taken 1 or 2 verses of the Qur'an, there are many more. So here you are. Here's an example of a hadith which is in Saheeh Bukhari and which is in conflict with the Qur'an. And if as a consequence of my saying that this hadith is in conflict with the Qur'an, you want to close the doors of the masjid for me, then I say, wait, on Judgment Day. Okay, with the Malhama fast